got one on my 5. Yeah. Jakers, I got a hookup. All right. It's a good way to start the day. Hey, my name is Mark Romanack, and you're watching Fishing 401. We're out on the big pond today, but it's at a time of year you probably wouldn't expect to see us out here. Today is, I believe, the last day of November. And we're fishing in Lake Michigan. And we're salmon fishing. You don't normally go salmon fishing this time of year. So, but they are still salmon to be caught this time of year.
Let me grab the board for you, Dad.
I got a tug of war going on here. I can't get this guy to give me any ground here.
Well, like you were saying, Dad, this isn't really the time of year to be catching them. Because those 4-year-old kings, when they go up the river to spawn, people think that fishing for kings are done. But there's a lot of 2 to 3-year-old kings in the system that can be caught. It makes a lot of fun. Like I said, it's the last day of November.
Well, we'll find out if this is indeed a king or not. There's other species out here as well. But that's what we're hoping for today. We're hoping to see some 2 and maybe some 3-year-old silverfish is what we're hoping for today.
Looks like it's a steelhead.
Looks like it is a steelhead, doesn't it? Getting her up here in the corner for you. He's got his own mindset where he's going.
Let's see, I'm gonna hold on with one hand, scoop him with the other.
Nice
we got
scoop,
him in the boat,
buddy.
Dad.
Nice scoop.
So
well, I got the chrome, but it wasn't the chrome I was expecting.
That's what silver's all about. Tangled messes, but we got him.
Now that is a cool way to start. All right, let's get
I got one burying on my middle board right now.
Yep, get him. You get him, and I'll take care of getting this one unlatched here.
Hey, Dad, I got one just burying on my 7 color here. Dad just put that beautiful steelhead in the boat, and it was just shortly after that that my middle board started going. Hopefully we got on a little active pot of fish here. This fish is just tugging, Dad.
Good start out here on Lake Michigan this morning. We traveled to a place called Manistee, Michigan. It's actually not far from my home. Very good multi-species fishery. One in the box here, Jakers. Just in time to take your board off, huh?
Yeah, if you'd be kind enough to pop that off for me.
There you go.
Thanks,
You're good
Dad.
to go.
Go fishing Lake Core is so much fun because you can just spread out in the water column. Dad just caught a fish on a 5 color, which is fairly high up in the water column, and I have a 7 color here, which is just a little bit deeper. But if you look at our spread, what we have is a 5, a 7, and a 10. That way when we're trolling, we're literally covering an entire swath of water. You got a lot of different lures out there and a lot of different water columns.
If you want to do this late season fishing for trout and salmon, you're really looking for water temperature. And you'll notice today, when you look at our fish hawk, the water temperature is pretty much the same from the top to the bottom. It starts getting good when the water gets below 50 degrees. Excuse me, low to mid 40s. You got perfect water temperature for catching steelhead, kings, cohos, lake trout, the whole mix. You can get them all at the same time.
Maybe take them on whatever side you want, Dad. It looks like it's a lake trout.
Over the kicker?
Yeah, right over the kicker's good. I got up to the leader now, so I got about 50 feet. Looks like he's right here. Nice trout.
Yep, nice little lake trout. Well, that's 2 species.
That's a nice trout. Man, that's 2 species so far. We're on Lake Michigan, we've talked about that. And the thing about Lake Michigan in the last few years is it's gone from being just an amazing salmon fishery to an amazing multi-species fishery. If you're gonna come out here, it's not gonna be those 30, 40, 50 king days that we used to have. But you can still come out here and catch a lot of fish. We have steelhead, we have this lake trout. We'll probably catch a king, maybe a coho in the bunch today. Makes for a great multi-species fishery. Woo! Off like a rocket.
Additional considerations provided by Procure, ruthlessly effective bait suds. Special considerations provided by Bait Rigs Tackle, America's innovator of fine fishing products, and by Eagle Claw Hooks, proudly made in America since 1925.
You know, trout and salmon fishing is something that I've done literally since I've been old enough to hold onto a fishing pole. But something that I've been doing recently that I learned from the guys from Yakima Bait Company, it's very much a West Coast phenomenon, is actually washing your bait. Now, trout and salmon are those kind of species of fish that actually smell in parts per billion. So what we do is we take lemon scented Joy or Crest toothpaste. The lemon scent Joy that I'm using is non-ultra, which means it doesn't have bleach. And I wash my baits down. Every time we catch a fish, I take 2 seconds and scrub it up, put it back in the water. That way I'm putting a spoon or a lure back in the water that's clean and doesn't have any foreign odors on the bait.
We're going to go another step here. We're going to take our spoon. Jake just got done cleaning this with a detergent and to get all of the foreign odors off the spoon. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some Procure on it to get it so it smells like something good to eat. Something you also have to understand about the detergents is that these are non-phosphate detergents, so they don't do anything to the Great Lakes that's negative. They're not a pollutant. They actually are a good thing for the Great Lakes. Let's just put a strip on here, right down the middle. And that's all we need. Like they say, a little dab will do you. Our Lake Michigan adventure was set in a place called Manistee. Now, Manistee, Michigan is a very popular port, but quite frankly, what we did out here could have been duplicated at any number of a dozen different ports around the Great Lakes. There's great fall fishing for trout and salmon, just most guys, unfortunately, have already put away their boats.
Oh yeah, there's one there for sure.
You know, for those who don't understand lead core, it's an interesting kind of fishing line. It's a lead wire. Of course, in lead wires, you would imagine, doesn't have very much strength, so it's covered with a coating. And nowadays, modern lead cores are covered with a coating called Spectra braid, and that gives it durability. We recommend 27-pound test. 27-pound test lead core is perfect for trout and salmon fishing, and you can also use it for other species like walleye as well. So if you want to get involved in lead core, the best investment is going to be one of the lead cores in the 27-pound test. It's got a Spectra braid on it.
It's not a big fish, Dad, but it's a fish.
Well, we'll take it one at a time here and see what happens. It's not like it's really crowded out here today. If you look around, we are absolutely the only boat on the water. I fished Manistee most of my adult life, and today was the very first time I launched a boat and there's no cars in the parking lot. I guess pretty much everybody's cashed it in for 2016. I guess I got to take that back. There is one other boat back here. The Great Lakes ore shipping boats are still out here. That's it.
I got him on the surface, Dad. Uh-oh. He came off. He's up in my other line here.
Well, today is kind of a good news, bad news situation. We've got lots of bites, but our landed ratio, putting fish in the boat, hasn't been all that great. And really what it boils down to is that these are powerful fish. They're pulling really, really hard. We're trolling fairly fast, 2.5 miles an hour. And then you add bumpy seas on top of this, we're putting a lot of stress on those fish. So when you come out here, you hear guys talk on the radio, they're talking about I went 5 for 10 or 10 for 15. What they mean is they got 15 bites, but they only put maybe 10 of them in the boat. That's par for the course. You're not going to land them all, but they're all fun to hook up on. It's a great deal. Hey, Jakers, rigger fired, man.
You have a mag lip on there?
Yeah, I did.
Very cool.
Yeah, this is a Fish Flash with a number 3.5 mag lip on there, and it's one of my favorite. Oh, look at that go. Oh man, that's a solid fighting fish right there. Solid fighting fish. Oh, I love catching them on downriggers because it's basically just me and the fish. As soon as it tripped from the rigger, there's nothing out there but just the fish and my fishing line. A lot of fun to fight these fish on downriggers.
I love it, Dad.
And the cool thing about this too is we don't have much gear in the water to get in the way. We were just getting ready to pick up because we caught several fish and then we kind of trolled out of them. So we were just picking our gear up to run back up and give it another try. And the old rigger popped. Literally, it was seconds before I was going to trip it anyway. Nice job. Come on, baby. Just you and me.
That was a deep fish too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right?
I dropped it down about 80 feet, so you know, it could be a big lake trout, could be a king.
Oh, I would be willing to put a lot of money on that. That's a king, Dad.
Yeah.
The second that popped, the rock came up and then poof, right back down again.
Yeah, that's classic king stuff, no doubt about it.
I'll grab the net for you, Dad.
Yeah, he's getting close. Jake and I both agree about downrigger rods. We like them soft. This is about a 7.5 foot medium light action rod. And that really, really makes it fun fighting these fish. Whoa, there he goes
he didn't
again.
like that. He saw the boat.
Solid fish. All right, you got me convinced. It's king now.
Okay.
Lake trout don't do that.
It's a nice king too, Dad.
Woo, it's a little bumpy right here right now. All right, let's see if I can get control of this guy. Are we ready?
A little closer and we got him in the box. There we go, Dad. We got him. Nice king.
All right. That's what we're coming out here for. Oh, what a stud. Nice fish. That's what I'm talking about. Last day of November, king salmon. This has got to be a solid I'd say this is probably a 3-year-old fish. Not quite mature, one that'll spawn next year here in the Great Lakes. Wow. It's fun, Jake.
That's so cool.
That is so much
right
fun.
in the corner. That fish wasn't coming off
Yeah,
either.
he got pegged right there. That mag lip just hammered him. That's the 3.5 size, and they make them much bigger. You know, the salmon guys out west like them bigger, but the 3.5 has been our go-to bait for catching salmon here the last couple of years. It just absolutely knocks some snot out of them. Just knocks the snot out of them.
Additional considerations provided by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate. Additional considerations provided by Fishhawk Electronics. Trolling without a fishhawk is called boating.
One really cool thing that Offshore has done for the new season is they've changed their tattle flag just slightly, but it makes it so much more versatile. On the board, what we've added is some holes actually on the flag. So you've always had the holes on the front of the board, and we've been able to change our tension that way. But now we can take the tension and put it all the way to the top hole, which just adds a ton of tension. Just not very long ago, I was doing a little walleye fishing, so I had the tension on the bottom of the flag. But now that we're fishing leg core, it pulls a little bit harder. I'm able to take the spring off, put it on the top of the flag, and that adds so much more tension that I can actually be fishing something like a 10 color of leg core and have the flag standing straight up. So versatile. You gotta check out the new system on the tattle flag from Offshore Tackle.
Well, we just boxed that really nice king, and we caught it on a system that's a little bit unique in the Great Lakes. It's something you don't see a lot of guys doing yet. I started with an attractor, and it's called a Big Al Fish Flash, and you can see that this thing just spins in the water, so it's got a lot of flash, and it brings fish from a great distance. And this happens to be a 4-inch model. I like the 4-inch model because our water is so clear here in Lake Michigan. Don't need them any bigger than about 4 inches. Then to the back of this, I needed to add a leader. So I took some 20-pound test fluorocarbon, and I took about 7 foot of leader material. And on the business end here, as I shorten up here, all the way to the business end, what actually caught that fish is that little plug right there. That's called a mag lip. And they come in different sizes, but overwhelmingly the size that's been good for us here is the 3.5. And if you're a trout and salmon fisherman in the Great Lakes, you know that any salmon plug is good if it's got a lot of silver and a lot of chartreuse and a lot of green on it. Those are really solid colors, and you can see that's exactly what we're dealing with here. And then the last thing I want to talk about is that this bait comes with a really nice snap on it, a heavy-duty snap. But I also put a snap on the end of my leader. Hooking a snap to a snap allows this bait a little bit more freedom of movement. It's got something called a skip beat action. And by connecting it to the line by using 2 snaps, you get even more action out of these baits, and they're even fishier than they come out of the box.
Hey, Dad, this is on a 3 color.
We start using any less lead core, we're not going to need lead core at all. We're just gonna let the spoon straight out the back of the boat and put a planer board on them.
Well, you know, with this water temperature you talked about earlier, you said that from the top to bottom, it's basically the same temperature. So that means these fish can literally be anywhere in the water column. And trout and salmon, they're always looking for a temperature. But when the temperature is the same, there's no reason for them not to be right on the surface. I wonder what this one is, Dad. Could be a coho or something.
It could be a jack salmon too, we'll see. Throw him to the right here, buddy.
There we go.
Little steelhead looks like. Maybe a coho. We'll take a closer look here. Ooh.
But I tell you what, this is not a big fish, but it's kind of cool. We talked about multi-species. Here's a coho. Now let's see what we got so far. We have a steelhead, kings, lake trout, and now we're gonna add a coho to the bunch. That's why Lake Michigan's still a cool place to fish, because it's still an awesome multi-species fishery.
Unfortunately, this one shook off. We can reset. Again, I want to clean that spoon, get all that residue from the Procure off from it. Rinse it. Reach in my pocket here. Come out with a little bit more Procure. And put a little bit more on there, some fresh. Lasts about 30 minutes. The scent's good for about 30 minutes, so it's good to change it out every now and then anyway. Well, we're going to recap. Like Jake was saying, we've got a coho, we've got a couple lake trout, we've got a steelhead, and we got a king salmon. Now, that's affectionately referred to as the Grand Slam of the Great Lakes. But there is another species that we might catch. There are brown trout out here as well, and if we were fortunate enough to catch a brown trout today, I'm going to call that the Super Slam. So that's what we're after now, is that elusive brown trout. Jake, you got one on the inside board.
That's on a 7 color. We just nicely got all of our gear in the water. I'm not gonna complain though. Anytime we got a fish on, I'm not gonna complain, Dad. Woo! Feeling line. That was a good fish.
That's very good.
Our only dilemma that we're having today is just the wind direction. This contour that we're fishing, of course, is going north and south. And the wind was supposed to be south. It's a little bit more west than south. And so we kind of have to crab a little bit. And the boat's kind of at an angle, but to be able to stay on these fish, we have to fish a little funny. The nice thing about trout and salmon fishing is you're going fast enough so you can get away with stuff like that.
Wow. He did not hook very good either.
No, we'll get him here, Dad. That's a big trout.
That's a big
nice
trout.
Fish.
That's a really nice trout, Jake. He was just barely lip hooked, man. You did great on that fighting job.
Whoever said lake trout don't fight, that board just ripped back and it was a fight all the way up to the boat. This fish just didn't give up. If you look here and I flip the fish around, you'll see that this is a hatchery fish and it has a fin clip here. Now we are not doing a lot of hatchery fish on lake trout, so this is an older fish, but from the time that fish bit to the time it got in the boat, it was a lot of fun, fought the whole way.
Additional considerations provided by the Ultimate Sports Show Tour, Michigan's premier sports shows. Additional considerations provided by Motor Guide, engineered for anglers.
Well, you notice we're using a Fish Hawk depth probe, and most of the time when we're using this piece of equipment, we're trying to find water temperature that's ideal for trout and salmon. And there's a probe on the downrigger ball, and we set it down with the downrigger, and we can tell what water temperatures are. And ironically, this time of year, that's really not important because the water temperature is about the same from the top all the way to the bottom. But what is important is trolling speed at depth, because we're doing a lot of neat things today, and one of the things we're trolling with are spoons. Spoons are very speed sensitive. You get below 1.9 miles an hour, they don't have very good action. So at depth, we can see exactly what the right speeds are here, so we can keep our speed at 1.9 to 2.2 in that neighborhood, and we wouldn't be able to accomplish that without the Fish Hawk. It gives us speed at depth and also gives us temperature at depth. But today, what's really helping us is speed at depth.
Something we do a lot of here at Fishing 411 is what I like to call two-motor trolling. And what we do is we take our electric motor, our XI5 motor guide, and we put that in the water, and that's just going to give us our direction. It's going to keep the boat going straight. But all the power is actually coming at the back of the boat. For that, we use our Evinrude kicker. We put that in the water, set it at about 2.5 miles an hour for the salmon fishing, and then go to the front of the boat and just use the electric motor for directional control. Between those two motors, that's what's giving us perfect boat control on the water. So we've got a little school of fish here that we've been fishing, but after we get through that school of fish, we've been picking up all our gear, running up, and then setting back down on them. It's a lot of work because there's a ton of gear in the water when it comes to trout and salmon fishing, but we're able to control our speed, and it's a lot more comfortable going downwind than it is trying to go back into these seas. You see him, Dad?
Yep. If you can throw him to my side here, that'll be a lot better.
Yeah, we're almost to the leader. Woo! Bring them back over here. Good thing we don't have all the lines in the water yet.
Oh, a little bit to the right if you can there, Jake. You got the outboard right in the way. There we go.
There we go.
Scoop on.
And there you have it, another nice steelhead. You know, we talked about water temperature and how important it is for trout and salmon fishing. And since this water temperature is the same across the board, you know, up on the top of the surface, all the way down to 80 feet at depth, it's the same temperature, I decided to put some high lines out. And this is our second fish on this 3-color. And what I did is I teamed it up with what is a traditional steelhead color. Steelhead like to be on the surface, and I teamed it up with an orange spoon, which is a very good steelhead color. It's caught 2 fish right back to back. It's been a good system. So whenever you're looking at water temperature, you want to see if it's the same across the board. Even if you're in 200 feet of water, there's no reason those fish aren't only 5, 6, 7 feet down under the surface. You team it up with an offshore board out to the side, and you're going to put a lot of fish like this in the boat.
7 just went. My 7 went too.
That one ripped. I think I'll take your fish if that's okay.
You take the 7, I'll take the 5.
This one looks bigger. Ooh, yours is jumping out there, Dad, I think. I can get this fish to do what I want without getting into the rigger.
Beautiful.
Scoop them, Dad.
Okay.
Nice fish. That's one. We got him, Dad. Woo! Woo! 2 big chromers.
Hey, I'm Mark Romanack.
And I'm Jake Romanack.
Hey, don't count out Lake Michigan. It's an awesome sport fishery. Multi-species action right to the bitter end.
Wow, these are big fish, Dad.
Closed captioning is provided by Fishhawk Electronics. Fishing 411 is brought to you by Offshore Tackle, your leaders in trolling technology. Yakima Bait, home of the rooster tail. Evinrude Outboards, introducing the E-Tech G2. Starcraft Marine, America's oldest aluminum fishing boat line. Jay's Sporting Goods, trust in the tradition. Cisco Fishing Systems, fish the finest. Smooth moves, smooth your ride. Precision Trolling Data, the Troller's Bible now available in an app. Fish Niagara USA, up close and powerful.
Hey, I'm Mark Romanack.
My name's Jake. Oh, I forgot my name.
You forgot your name? Are you ready?
Yep.
Farkleberry!
There he goes. Big old splash, and away he goes back to the depths.